Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel, and how is everyone today? I hope you are doing well, and it's been kind of rainy and cold here today, so anyway, I do hope you're doing well. If not, please remember, of course, the path might be long, but please stay the course, my friends. It's always going to be worth it in the end, I promise you that. It just might be very difficult at the time. Just keep going, keep going. So, I want to talk about indie comics. I like indie comics, I really do. Image is my favourite. I wouldn't even say they're a publisher, really. They're more of a distributor for individual creators, which I absolutely love. And my favourite universe out of all of it is the Top Cow universe. You know, you got the Darkness, Artifacts, Witchblade, Angelus. That's my favourite, okay? By far. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I'm loving Witchblade's new run. I can't wait for the Darkness new run. And, well, which is out now, I think, and I haven't had a chance to pick it up. But yeah, I think that is absolutely phenomenal, and I really do like indie comics, and I think the best thing about it is because they're so creator-owned that you see the more freedom that the creators have. Even if they are a guest writer on a comic, they too tend to have a lot more creative freedom than the mainstream, such as DC and Marvel. Which, again, I enjoy, and I think it's good. But what I have noticed, and it's kind of apparent to me now, which is weird, that when you look at indie comics, you do have some fantastic comics. Don't get me wrong. I'm currently reading Chew, which is absolutely hilarious and phenomenally fun. And if you love things that can make you think and put on that tinfoil hat, yeah, actually, that might be worth reading for you. Trust me on that one. It's weird, okay? I'm Spawn as well. But the thing is, you can have these fantastic comics, but you never get these, and I think this is more of a issue with the amount of people working on them being so low. You never really get that huge event happening. You never get that really big thing that covers the whole universe and really draws people in. It's all about one phenomenal storyline, which is just so good that you can just point to it and say, this is what comics should be. This is absolutely fantastic. This is a great story. This is where a jumping on point for you. I mean, if we look at Batman has absolutely loads. You've got The Long Halloween, you've got Hush, you have the Court of Owls saga, you have Batman R.I.P., which is brilliant, Batman Year One. As you can see, that's just Scott Snyder's absolute run, actually, is a good jumping on point for Batman, even though it's very different. And Scott Snyder, well, just if you see Batman and Scott Snyder, you know you've got something absolutely phenomenal there. But like I said, they have these massive events. Same with Superman. You've got All-Star Superman. Brilliant. Superman at its absolute best. I know myself and lots of others tend to take that as the canon origin for Superman because it is so good by Grant Morrison. And then you have things like Infinite Crisis, Blackest Night, Flashpoint. These I don't even want to call them crossovers because they're all in the same universe. But you see what I mean? These massive events that happen and but just blow everything out the water, and you can say, look, even if you don't like these characters, read this event, read Infinite Crisis, phenomenal, or Infinite Crisis on Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's the one, and Final Crisis, if either way, like it's up to you, but you can say, look, read this, okay? This is where you jump on for DC. Stick to this sort of era, stick to the 2000s, 90s, early 2000s. We have these really good runs. And there you go. Same with some Marvel stuff. You have things like Civil War. And again, you've got the 90s stuff, which was absolutely fantastic. And you can say, look at this. And today you got the Ultimate series. You can go look at this Ultimate Spider-Man. Take a look at that. It's amazing. And this is a good jumping on point for Spider-Man. It might be completely different from a normal Spider-Man, him being an adult with kids and married to MJ. But it's still by Jonathan Hickman, and it's still fantastic. And I think this is the problem indie comics kind of have. They don't have that point where you can just say, look, this is the storyline you should start with. This is the storyline you need to go with. I mean, the best thing I can say for Top Cow is go read Artifacts. But the problem with that is it's the end of one universe and start of another. So you kind of need to know what happened previously for it to work. I mean, it's great. It's absolutely phenomenal. You see loads more new characters. You've got Aphrodite there. Aphrodite 4, I believe. You have Witchblade, Angelus, Tom Judge, so many new characters, Magdalena, I should say, all working to save the universe or not. And it's got a fantastic ending if you get the chance to read it. It is really, really good. But the thing is, it's the end of a universe and the start of a new one. And you got to kind of have an idea of like Jackie Estacado's personality and Sarah Pazzini's personality and everything else. I mean, it's a phenomenal story, but unfortunately, it does take some in knowledge of the previous comics to really get to understand why the ending happens the way it happens and stuff like that. And Darkness Reborn is good and it's worth jumping on as well. And you don't really need to read Artifacts for that, though it does kind of jump into it. But yeah, this is the Artifacts event, not the Artifacts ongoing, which happened afterwards as well. Just so you're clear when I say that. But it's good. It's good. But same with Spawn. You could say we've got Sin's War right now, and we have, what else do we have? Redemption as well. But again, it's kind of this idea, you need to have a little bit more knowledge about Spawn and its characters for things like Sin's War to be something you can say, look, this is where you jump onto Spawn. Luckily with Spawn, you can get the first couple of issues in its origins. It's really easy to get, and it's fun, and it's enjoyable. You do have that. That is quite easy to get. But the thing is, the Origin series is now near its 30s, and I've got to kind of go, yeah. So you have this massive gap. And they're not easy to find either. Not just hardback or softback. They're very difficult to find. Anything past number 1 to number 25, it's difficult to find. And again, this is an issue with indie comics. And it is because it's a small creative team. When it comes to good stories, when it comes to fantastic characters, when it comes to all that, small creative teams are fantastic because they write an ongoing saga. They write an ongoing story. You see from issue 1 to current issue how the story has evolved, and you know what's going on and how it's happening and why it's happening, and it's great for that. Do not get me wrong, but when it comes to the big solo storylines, which are where you can say, look, this is where you jump on, this is where you see, you don't need to read anything prior, you don't need to read anything after. Marvel and DC kind of got that covered because they know they have bigger creative teams involved. So if they got someone new on the team, got a new team working on it, they can start again, and again you've got this whole new starting point. It might be issued like 250, but you don't need to read the previous 250, unlike something like Spawn, or even Shadow Man kind of had that issue as well. Bloodshot is not too bad, but it still has a problem. But you just don't have that really good storyline where you can jump on and say, this is where you start. And going with that, you don't have... it's very rare you see a story like Kingdom Come or Watchmen or... those singular storylines which are absolutely non-canonical but are fantastic. You never get that either. Kingdom Come is by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. It's phenomenally good. I hope I got that right. I'm looking at the book now as well, which is just stupid if I got it wrong. But it's great. But it's non-canonical, and you can sort of see it happening. And, it's good, it's fun. But again, indie comics don't really have that issue. I think the only way you can jump onto an indie comic is, unfortunately, through a crossover. Now, there's nothing wrong with crossovers. Don't have a problem with it. Batman Spawn is really good. I've read it so many times. I've also got Mars Attacks and Red Sonja, which is phenomenally good. It's great. And if you like Mars Attacks, it's really worth you buying just to read, because it's really fun. And Red Sonja is good too. And it's got to be some sort of crossover with Marvel DC, because if I was to say with Darkness versus Eva, Dracula's daughter, they're both indie comics. But if I was to say Marvel Zombies versus the Army of Darkness, you at least know one of them. Probably both. If you're reading Marvel Zombies, you know Army of Darkness. But it's a good jumping on point for the Army of Darkness comics, because it is canonical to the story, and it helps you get into Dynamite comics. But there is a couple of things. Like, there's also the one that I would suggest now, if you want to get into the Invincible universe, is Battle Beast. It's just finished. They got the trade out now. It is phenomenally good. I freaking love it. It's a fun comic. It's enjoyable. And it can get you into the universe of Invincible. because it was a standalone, but it did so well. It's actually going to be running in March. But it's a good way of getting into the Invincible universe via this like offshot story, which again we don't really see with Spawn unless it's of course we've had like Spawn Dark Ages, Cursed Spawn and Spawn the Undead, but they were so far from the others that it was weird because they were really part of Spawn but not at the same time. But you still needed to know about Spawn. I love Spawn, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. But I think that is the real big problem with this. I cannot, honestly, the problem is I can't really... If you're going for an ongoing and constantly good, that would be my way to go. I would go, if you want constantly good, like a constantly good storyline, Indie is the way to go. Shadow Man, I've started reading, and I haven't regretted it since. Chew, I've got like 8 trades now, and I'm enjoying them. Spawn, because I freaking love Spawn, and I'm reading Scorched and Gunslinger. And I've got all of Sin City, and these are fantastic stories and really worth reading. And so this is just sort of what I wanted to talk about today. So I think indies are the best for the ongoing storylines, and they do kind of suffer when it comes to the big time events and stuff like that, because they don't have the big creative team. They don't have the way they can just move people onto a team. They can write this phenomenal story, and you don't have to read anything prior. With indies, you kind of have to have all the knowledge to go, a lot of knowledge to go with it. I mean, I could be wrong. It could just be me, and that's fine. But we'll stick to that for another day. Anyway, so the reason I want to talk about comics today, because my friend at American Dream, Steve, is doing a geeky Christmas market on the 13th, Saturday the 13th of December. I promised him if I talk about comics, I'll talk about this. I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. He's a great guy, well worth reading, and well worth going to. If you really live in Bath, go to American Dreams Comics if you're into comics. He might be doing some wargaming stuff soon as well. And you got comics, graphic novels, collectible card games, board games, homemade cards and accessories, Lego, records, vintage toys. That's all going to be there at this Christmas market on the 13th of December. Well worth a check. I will be there, by the way. I will be going because I want to pick up some Christmas presents, and I usually do it too late. So there's that. Also, there's my comic and my merchandise down below. Thank you for whoever bought the t-shirt, by the way. I am so happy that someone actually bought one of my t-shirts. Thank you for that. I don't know who it is. I just know someone bought it. Thank you. And so there's my merchandise, my comics, and my t-shirts, and all the stickers, and that stuff's down there as well. Someone bought my Fugan shirt. That's what it was. It's really cool. I freaking love it. There's also Wayland Games, as always. If you want to save up to 20% on your wargaming, video games, and toys, plushies as well, that's on there. There's Audible. If you want to save up to 20%, not £20, up to 20%, and free delivery up to £20 as well. God, I'm ballsing up this ending, aren't I? I'm in a good place today. And so there's also Audible as well. This is great. Skyforge, good friend of mine. Let's get him out the Google algorithm. And finally, Patreon business. I'm going to start putting some stuff on there, which you can only see if you remember. I don't know. Anyway, thank you. Bye-bye.